Welcome to Magic Hour with Paul Chaplin. Today we got a hard one to review, folks. And it's going to be hard to review for all the right reasons. Alita, Battle Angel. Now this film, I have to go a little bit into the back history of this movie because I think James Cameron was planning on actually writing and directing, like, I think it was far back as 2003. And he started focusing on Avatar, so he didn't get to really throw himself into this movie like he wanted to. And what eventually happened is Robert Rodriguez signed on to direct the film, and he got a producing and writing credit, which is great. But I have a problem with Robert Rodriguez. I've seen many of his films, and most of the times, while visually stunning, I never really like his characters, especially when he writes and directs a movie. Now, he has adapted other people's source material. He did Sin City, and it was predictably better because he didn't write it. And I actually, out of all his movies, I think I cared about the characters in Sin City more than any other. And that's surprising considering the subject matter. If you've seen Sin City, you know what I'm talking about. So I had some concerns going in. I didn't watch any trailers. I didn't want to spoil anything for myself. I didn't even read about the manga that is based on. I've never heard of it. It's called Gun. I don't know how you really pronounce that, but it's by Yukito Kishiro, and I think it came out in the 90s. Now, there was a lot of cliches that just right out the gate that kind of put me off. You had the whole dystopian future thing. Apparently, the setting is on Earth, and after some event called the Fall. And actually, it was not some kind of maybe, I thought the fall sounds like climate change or something happened. No, it was a big planetary war that just wiped out most of civilization, I guess. They don't really explain that too well. But there's all these floating cities. There's a floating city introduced in the beginning of the movie, supported by a space elevator. So it just hovers above the ground near the equator. I think it was in Panama, actually, from what I've read. I don't think they've ever established that in the movie. But all the rich people live in this city that's floating in the clouds. And they call them ground dwellers, live in a city under it called Iron City. So the movie takes place mostly in Iron City. But what happened, let me back up a little bit. What happened is that they had a war with Mars. And like I said, during the war, all the cities, but this one city called Zalem got destroyed. And at the beginning, we see a character called Dyson Edo, played by the great and wonderful Christoph Waltz. He's looking around the trash under the great city in the sky, and he discovers this cyborg body. And the body actually has a human brain in it, but everything else is cybernetic. And he does a scan of it and discovers that it's still alive. So he's some kind of black market cybernetic engineer. All the ground dwellers have cybernetic implants, well, most of them. I think they have a name for people without cybernetic implants. It's like meatheads or something. I forget what they call them. But most people have cybernetic implants, and they come to this doctor to get their cybernetic implant replaced or upgraded or whatever. And a lot of them don't even have money to pay him. I think in the beginning he takes oranges from this guy as payment. So the good doctor puts together this cyborg out of a body that he was going to use for his daughter who died. And you find out his daughter died, got killed by somebody, a cyborg that broke in, and she was in a wheelchair, and he was preparing to give her this new body. So anyway, he gives this new body to this cybernetic organism he finds in the trash. She wakes up. Her name is he names her Alita, and she has no memory of her past. And through the movie, you see her occasionally she gets a flashback. And now I had a problem with this part of the story because some of the flashbacks are so exciting. I actually kind of want to see a movie based on those flashbacks, because one of her first flashbacks, she figures out, I think fairly early, that she was involved in this planetary war between Mars and Earth, and she was on the Mars side. But in one of her first flashbacks, she's fighting on the moon, and it's just a gorgeous shot. And you're only there for a few seconds, but I remember thinking, "Oh my God, no, don't cut back!" And they cut back, and I was like, "Oh, I want to see that fight," because you see her fighting, and she has this cybernetic suit, and she's just kicking ass, and you're like, "Oh." So on the whole, I thought, man, there is so much more potential for this movie to be just great. I mean, not that it wasn't a great movie, but the build up in the beginning is kind of slow, because you got this character who's basically a teenager learning to be human. And they give her a love interest, and that was kind of, his name is, I think his name was Hugo. And there's this sport that all the ground dwellers play called motorball, and the whole economy of the ground dwellers is pretty much geared toward people supplementing their body so that they can win motorball, because the champion of motorball gets to return to Zalem, which is the city in the sky, because the ground dwellers are not allowed in Zalem. So the only way to get up there is to become a champion in motorball. So that plays a lot into the plot. And there's no real police force with the ground dwellers. They're pretty much policed by bounty hunters, which was a kind of interesting idea. Probably the most original idea in this movie, that there's no police force, and that if someone does go on a rampage, they just put a bounty is put on their head, and these people called hunter warriors, are paid money to hunt them down. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And you got one guy controlling most of the trade connected to motorball. His name is Vector, played by the wonderful Mahershala Ali. This guy everywhere these days. He's on True Detective. He's in Green Book. He was in Luke Cage. This guy's everywhere. But he was great in this movie. Jennifer Connelly is playing a character called Shireen. She's the ex-wife of the doctor Dyson Ito, played by Christoph Waltz. And she's kind of working with Victor. She has ulterior motives from working with him, but you find out that she kind of split up with Christoph Waltz when their daughter died. But she's a doctor, and she's using her skills to help Vector, because they also are in the upgrade business, and I don't know. There's a lot of shady things going on with what Vector does as opposed to what Dyson Ito does. And coincidentally, Vector also controls the Hunter Warriors. So there's a lot of conflicts of interest that I really can't go into. It's already convoluted enough. I'll probably, theoretically, to give this movie the proper review, I should really see it 3 times, but that's not going to happen with my schedule. So suffice to say is I enjoyed it. Did I enjoy it for the visuals? Did I enjoy it for the science, the science fiction? What impressed me the most about it? That was the thing I've been grappling with over the past few days, because I've actually saw this Sunday. And the conclusion I came to was that I liked the movie most of all because I cared about the characters. And like I said, that's something traditionally Robert Rodriguez hasn't been good at, but that is James Cameron's strong suit. So I thought he delivered with that. Were the visuals stunning? Yes. The fighting scenes were great. Some of the technology was interesting, but a lot of the science fiction was bordering on being kind of cliched. It was very cool, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of things I felt like I've seen before, and as an American moviegoer, a person who's seen floating mountains in Avatar and all the other delicious things that James Cameron has delivered in all his films. So that disturbed me a little bit, but it had me wanting to, I really would love to see a sequel to this. The problem with that is I keep getting mixed messages about its relative success, because it has opened pretty big. I think it opened with at 27 million, I believe. As of yesterday, it has made 137 million, but and it hasn't even been out a week yet. So it's looking like it's going to make a lot of money. But I also read the budget was estimated at 200 million. Other sources have said, I think this is from the studio, whatever studio has produced it, and I forget which one it was. But they put the number at around 170 million. So I don't really know who to believe at this point. And it's also one of those movies, the audience score is in line with what I felt about the movie. So I think ultimately it's going to be a success. But like I said, the jury's still out on that, because I just keep hearing conflicting reports. But that's about it. I'm trying to think of something to add. If you like character-driven movies with a science fiction touch, this is the movie for you. Now, if you can't, well, the only thing I would say as far as a criticism, the story does take a little bit time to build, because they have to set up all the elements in this dystopian future, and they're trying to juggle a lot of different ideas and present it in a way that you can digest it easily. So there's that. But like I said, you're not going to see a lot in this film that hasn't been done before. But there is some great action bits, and there are some interesting ideas. But overall, I enjoyed it, and I'll just leave it at that. I won't muddy the words anymore, because, like I said, this is very, very hard for me to review. But overall, I really enjoyed it. So that's about all. I would like to thank and welcome my new subscribers. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I try to get this content out as frequently as possible, and welcome to the party. But that's about it, and I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.